Hey, I'm Audra Carroll, and this is Coming in Hot, where my guest and myself mostly talk about mindset theories and real practical ways that you can improve your lifestyle, your relationships, your health, and yourself.
Hey, good evening, everybody. I'm Audra Carroll, and this is Coming in Hot, where my guest and myself mostly talk about mindset theories and real practical ways that you can improve. Let's do it again. Hey, good evening, everybody. I'm Audra Carroll, and this is Coming in Hot, where my guest and myself mostly talk about mindset theories and real practical ways that you can improve your lifestyle, your relationships, your health, and yourself. And I'm super excited to be with you guys tonight. Kind of dressed down in low key a little bit. I just kind of pulled my hair up in a bit of a messy bun, which I'm kind of known for anyway. Um, my hair is up more often than not. I try to look nicer for you guys since I'm on camera, but most of the time, this is how my hair is. So I put on a sweater. You can see this. I'm a mud and mascara kind of girl. That's so me. So most of you've already figured out I don't like to wear a lot of makeup anyway. That's not what this show's about. So I don't know why I feel the need to tell you this. So it may get cut out later. Seeing as I keep saying so. My producer don't like it when I repeat the same words over and over. He lets me know that it's annoying. So anyway, tonight's show. The reason why I'm dressed down and low key and chilling out a little bit more tonight is because I'm going to open up with you guys a little bit more in depth about my story. And that is not even what the topic of the show was supposed to be for tonight. So it just, I guess it had been kind of brewing and stewing up in me for at least a few days. I've thought about it a couple of times, but off and on for the past couple of months, but really the past couple of days. And then today, definitely I was sent some messages through the universe letting me know that, yes, sister, you need to go ahead and you need to open up a little bit more about your story. I'm hoping that by sharing a little bit more in depth of my story, that it will help someone else out there who maybe can relate to what I've gone through, what I'm still going through. We'll see how far we get tonight into that. But I just, it sucks sometimes to tell people, the crappy stuff about your life. But the reason why I do this show is because when I was I'm going to be emotional tonight, but that's okay because that's me. When I was at my lowest, I needed someone to be able to look to who had been through things that I had been through and had already come out on the other side. I needed those people to look to because I was very lost. And so, good thing I have tissues nearby, right? So convenient. So super convenient. Okay. So anyway, I'm going to suck it up. I'm going to get through this. I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to be a titty baby. I'm not going to be a whiner. So anyway, but I needed someone who was vulnerable enough to tell their story and to share how they got through a lot of the things that I had been through and gotten to the other side. And just realistically, how did they do that, And so anyway, I am hoping that my story will also help someone else in that same way. Something that was really pressed upon today in church. Actually, it's been throughout the series that we're in right now, is, we are supposed to share our stories with each other so that we can help each other through this life. And so whether it's The stories are not always going to be rosy and rainbows and sunshine and unicorns and all that kind of good jazz. And tonight's not going to be that way. I'm specifically going to focus on a portion of my life that was extremely, extremely difficult because that is where I draw my power from now. And I want to share that with you in hopes that you will also learn to find the warrior within yourself and latch on to that and make that your fuel to, invoke change, whatever that is for you. So anyway, I'll skim through certain parts just to kind of give you a little bit of background as to my temperament and personality, I guess. And then I'm really going to focus on about a 2 to a 4 year period of time, maybe a little bit longer depending on time, when I was really, guys, fighting for my life. And that's just the truth. So anyway, just a little bit of background. I come from an anxious family. Let's just start there. My mom has anxiety, and my grandmother suffered from anxiety terribly. In fact, she had such nervous issues that she had to have surgery on her hands and things like that for shaking and all kinds of stuff. But definitely just an anxious person. And it runs on my dad's side of the family too. So it manifests itself differently on both sides of the family, but it kind of runs on both sides of the family. And so I've been exposed to it on both sides of the family my whole entire life growing up. And so now as an adult, I can look back and see that I was showing symptoms of anxiety when I was a little girl. When I was in elementary school and I was going to the cafeteria, side note, not the cafeteria, sorry. When I was in elementary school, I would go to the nurse's station quite often. This went on for, I'm assuming it was probably just one during one school year, but I don't know if it was a series of months or what, but I went up there many, many times, I remember, to the point where even I, as a child, knew that they were humoring me. So anyway, I remember going down to the nurse's station elementary school, complaining that I had a stomach ache every morning almost for days and days and days. And now in hindsight, I recognize those symptoms as acid reflux. And some of you may know this and some of you may not, but in the research and things that I've learned, that acid reflux a lot of times can be a sign of anxiety. So anyway, I believe that was probably a way that it was manifesting, and it just wasn't picked up on because no one knew what it was. I think they thought that it was just me maybe just needing to get out of class for a minute. So they were just being nice and humoring me. But anyway, so some anxiety as a child, and then started having panic attacks after 2 back-to-back car accidents at the age of 16. It only seemed to happen when I was in a car and someone else was driving and would do something, anything could happen, nothing could happen, and I would be scared that we were going to have a car accident. So there was that. Let's see. I was married for 10 years, guys, before I married my husband now, my adoring husband. I love him. But I was married for 10 years to my high school sweetheart. And it was an extremely, extremely tumultuous marriage for a lot of the time. There was a lot going on there. And throughout that 10-year marriage, we were also moving across country. And we had 2 children. And it was just chaos now that I look at it. I mean, nothing was stable anywhere. And that was what I did throughout that whole marriage, I guess, was try to create stability. But there were a lot of problems, and so that did not work out. Over those 10 years, I had developed chronic migraines, chronic fatigue. I'm going to read off my notes a little bit, just kind of makes it a bit more comfortable right now, I guess because I'm feeling pretty vulnerable. But chronic migraines and fatigue, and I was my health just kind of was all over the place, I guess. And then once the divorce happened, this would probably be a pivotal moment when I see that something really, really shifted in my psyche to the point where my emotions were definitely controlling my body. So after the divorce, I was probably about a size 6 8, and which was, a good average size. Loved it. I was pretty happy with that size. But after the divorce, I believe some of the same tendencies that I had as a child with stress and anxiety came back, and I developed appetite issues where I had such trouble eating, even having an appetite. I dropped weight all the way down to a size 1-3. And before I started gaining weight back, I was almost in a size 0. And y'all, I looked skeletal. I just looked crazy. And I was resorting to, I don't know why I wasn't drinking something more nutritious than this, but I had resorted to drinking Slim Fast, at least 2 a day, just because I was trying to get some type of nutrients or something in my body, and I had 0 appetite whatsoever. And so this went on for months and months and months and months. And so it was a very painful time. I mean, I can remember people thinking that I was drinking the Slim Fast to lose weight. My poor grandmother, she was so freaked out. She was like, baby, please just eat and this and that. I'm like, you don't understand. I'm trying to get it in. But that's a whole nother story. Let me see. After the divorce, I also noticed that I started to begin to use alcohol to cope with my anxiety. I don't know that I really did before the divorce, but I definitely did after the divorce. And it was a very, very, very slow progression. Very slow progression. But it went from just having a little drink here or there, cooking dinner and hanging out with the kids and the family and stuff, to, what was normal and everything. What would be considered within normal range, I should say. To once I had gotten myself out of the house and going to school then full time, then it turned into binge drinking on the weekends, which, y'all, it hurts my heart to say that, but it really truly did. It morphed into binge drinking on the weekends at the karaoke bar. One of my excuses was that I needed to drink to be able to sing, to be able to loosen up and sing. So that's what I thought. But I mean, during all this time, I found my wonderful husband now. We had our daughter, and we got married. And like I said, like I'd mentioned, I started attending college. I was going to school to be a nurse. I've been a nurse aide for a year, and it was just not enough for me. I needed to be able to be more and give back more. I guess I've always been a servant of people in one way or the other. And I felt like I had more to give and that I needed to dig deeper. So while I was attending college, and now this, mind you, this is in my very early 30s, all I was doing was going out on the weekends to be with my husband because he was also the karaoke DJ. And I was cramming and studying nonstop. If I wasn't doing that, I was, that just happened to me. So I just had a flashback, and I was going to say, that I was, halfway in the game and halfway paying attention to my kids and everything and this and that. But really and truly, it wasn't even halfway. Let's just be real. It wasn't even halfway, which is very sad. I was on a mission to better myself so that I could be a better servant, and being a better servant to other people meant that I was going to be able to bring in more income to my family. And so I was trying to give it everything that I had, and I was depleting myself every day that I was doing this. So during all of this time, while I was in school, I was hit with some diagnoses because my health started to decline. I mean, I was struggling to try to keep good grades in my classes, and I had always been an AB student without really having to put much effort into it when I was younger. So this was very new to me, and the stress of that, compounded on top of everything else that was going on, just was a recipe for disaster, obviously. So during that time, probably a year and a half into my the beginning of my college career, I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia, and then I was diagnosed with lupus, and I was also diagnosed with OA. And guys, I hate even using the word diagnosis because I don't even identify with that person anymore at all. So I hate to use those words, but to help you understand where I'm coming from and what I've been through, and maybe you can try on the shoes that I've been in and see if maybe you can walk in them for a minute and help yourself, then I'm going to put it to you the easiest way I can, whether it makes me comfortable or not. So anyway, throughout that time with those diagnoses, we also did a 900 square foot addition onto our home. Like I said, we had our daughter. I ended up graduating with an associate's degree very, very, very proudly. I was so proud, you guys. I was accepted into University of Texas, the nursing program, and I was just beyond shocked even that, I mean, how did I even do this? I had struggled so hard. Struggled so hard those years to get to that point. But I thought, man, if I can do that, I can finish this out. I can get that nursing degree, and then I can go take on midwifery and just conquer the world. I was ready to go, but my body was not really cooperating with me at all whatsoever. My psyche really wasn't either. Another thing I should mention, while I was going through school, like I said, the only thing that was really going on was we had the going out on the weekends. That was my relief. Like I said, I felt like I needed to drink in order to be able to sing, which is crap. Because while I was pregnant, I did just fine singing without drinking, and I do that just now, just perfectly fine. So anyway, but the only other thing that I did was study, and I had developed insomnia. So I was a teetotal mess, and everybody just said, I don't know how you're doing what you're doing. I didn't know I was doing what I was doing either. I didn't really think I was doing probably any more than anyone else, if that makes sense, that was trying to achieve a goal. I did not really understand that my body was truly breaking down out from under me. So during that time while I'm in school, I get the diagnoses. I start seeing a specialist. I end up on, I tried to count them up a minute ago, and I have memory issues. But from what I can remember, we're looking at about 7 prescription drugs that I was on between 2 physicians. One doctor prescribed 6. I was on another one from another specialist. And so we're talking and that's not all. I was on over-the-counter medications too, because I had to take those in order to combat some of the side effects that I was having from being on so many prescription medications. So it was pretty terrible. I probably was taking around 10 medications daily at that time, some of them 2 or 3 times a day. And it ranged everywhere from an anti-malaria medication to painkillers to muscle relaxers to, let's see what else. I needed something to help me sleep. Don't let me forget about that now. I needed something to help everything move through my body and my system, because everything was getting all clogged up because I'm doing nothing but taking pills constantly. And one of the side effects of that is that it slows down your digestive system. So I ended up being sent to another physician because I ended up just emotionally a wreck. And so the specialist that was treating me for the physical issues that I had going on sent me to a psychiatrist. And after a misdiagnosis, and I don't say that with, in fact, let me speak it again. With a misdiagnosis, and I don't say that, I don't say that in a way that I understand psychology, and with psychology, sometimes you don't know right off the bat what's going on, and it takes you a minute. So, not upset about this. However, I was given a misdiagnosis in the beginning when I was sent to the psychiatrist, and the combination of that medication on top of all of the other ones I was on gave me something called serotonin syndrome. And I'm not going to get too deeply into that. But serotonin syndrome is a scary, scary, scary booger. And it is when your brain has been overloaded with so much serotonin that it just cannot cope. And it can have deadly consequences. I'll just put it that way. So we dealt with that. We got all that squared away. And then now I have been put on what they would call a mood stabilizer. So, and that right there caused my weight to now fluctuate up and go way up. So now here I am, this 30-something-year-old woman, and I have gone from an average size 6'8" down to like a size 1'3", and I'm very uncomfortable at that weight because I feel like a walking skeleton. And now, on all of these medications and everything, now I've ballooned up to about 100, and I don't even know if I've ever said this publicly. Whoa. 160 something pounds, 170 something pounds, and I did not carry it well. Let me just tell you, did not carry it well. So there was a lot going on. My body was really, really, really telling me, look, sister, something is off kilter here. So I also went through an intensive 6-week outpatient therapy program. And at this point, I had maxed out my insurance that year due to going to doctor's visits regularly and all of these medications I was on and all the co-pays I had paid, maxed it out. So that was free. So I went through that. And I did learn some valuable things during that time. And I'm so grateful for it because one thing, and if my friend Jen Floyd sees this, I'm going to cry through this because I can't help it. I adore her. I hurt someone that I love and that loves me so deeply because I was so hurt that I was defensive. And I took a sweet text that she had sent me out of context and feel like I tried to blow that whole relationship up. And I'm so grateful that I did go through that therapy program because it helped me. I brought it up during therapy. And so it helped me be able to take a step outside of myself and they reminded me, these people were strangers to me and were strangers to my friend. But they were able to remind me of this wonderful person that I had always known. And were able to shine a light on the fact that maybe I was wrong. Maybe she didn't really mean it the way I thought. Maybe she really did understand where I was coming from. And so I'm very grateful for that time that I spent during that therapy. It really did teach me a lot. But as I was going through that therapy, I had this realization on top of that I was over medicated. And I started really getting frustrated with the fact that I wanted to know, how did I get to this place? How did I get from a healthy, semi-healthy 30-something-year-old mom raising 2 kids, 3 married as time goes on? How did I get to this sick person? And I'm even more sick now than I was when I started asking for help. How does that happen? That's not what I thought was supposed to happen. I thought when you were sick and you went to the doctor and you took the medications they told you to take and you followed the guidelines that they gave you, that you would get better. And I was so much worse in such a short period of time. I mean, in those 2 years, I had went from getting up every day and going to school 5 days a week, full-time college, and still running around and taking my kids where they needed to, still trying to go to church and do other things and maintain relationships and things like that with other people, to I'm in bed, hurting, in pain, physical, emotional, psychological, just in pain. Like, how did I get to this place? And this is after I asked for help, you know? So I decided that I needed to go a different route. And, with insurance the way it is and this and that, they don't cover homeopathy or anything along those lines. And I'm still behind the ball on that. Not going to lie. I am probably, to not be a doctor or a nurse, to not really have a degree, I am probably one of the worst patients when it comes to going ahead and just going to the doctor. I'm pretty jaded, I'll put it that way. Extremely jaded. So, anyhow, I decided I needed a change, and I discussed it with one physician, who I feel like was trying to somewhat be an advocate for me, and I chose to leave seeing the specialist that had me on all of the medications for all of the physical diagnoses he had given me, because I'm after 2 years and I'm not feeling better. In fact, now I'm worse, and we keep having to add on more and more medications. I at this point wanted a second opinion. I'm like, I don't want to do this. And in between that time, I decided that I needed to get off of the medications that I was on, that I had developed a dependency to the pain medications I was on. And once I made that decision, and I did it on my own, I did that before I ever went and actually got the appointment to be able to see the other specialist. I mean, I couldn't believe I did it, but I did it. But something clicked in my head and said, you have to stop. You have to stop. You know it's not making you any better. And you are no different than the next person who is addicted. So don't think that you're special. And once that hit me, I knew that I needed to get off of those. And so I did. I went to the other specialist and talked to her and told her that I wanted to wean off of all the medications. And she agreed and gave me the protocol for that. So I did that. And I went back to a follow-up with her and realized that I was not really in any more pain than I had been before. In fact, physically, I was starting to feel better in some ways, because I guess the medications were starting to slowly detox out of my system. But I did have some underlying still things going on that were causing me to be in physical pain. And so the recommendation was to stay on over-the-counter medications for the rest of my life, which was absolutely not going to happen. I had already not been a fan of over-the-counter medications. I mean, I had to be on very, very strong migraine medications off and on for years. And I've been put on several preventative medications that did not work. I mean, guys, I've been put on a lot of different things to try to control a lot of the physical pain that I've had going on and off throughout my whole life. And that stuff has taken a toll on my body. And so I was not going to do that. So I immediately started thinking about anyone who had ever given any advice to myself or to my husband about how alternative ways to how to treat what was going on with me. Because before I got brave enough to leave the doctor and the first specialist and go seek someone else and to try to pull myself off these medications, I was reaching out to other people, friends and my husband's coworkers and things like that. And they were giving me feedback, and so most of them were telling me to go natural. And I thought, after all of these years of taking all of these medications, I'm worse than I was before. I feel better now that they're kind of detoxing out of me. I'm gonna have to give it a shot. Like, I've got to give it a shot. So that was my intention. So I also started researching more in depth about the different diagnoses that I had been given. I had noticed before, as I was being given all of these different diagnoses, and I was researching them as they came, I noticed that a lot of them overlapped. A lot of the symptoms overlapped. The organs that they were affected by overlapped. The same chemicals, or a lot of them, overlapped. And this was extremely intriguing to me because it put me on this path of understanding that where I'd went wrong was in allowing them to try to treat all of these symptoms, symptom after symptom after symptom after symptom, instead of going after the actual root cause. As an example, inflammation. If you want to reduce inflammation, let's see if I can say this the right way. Oh, that's what I was going to say. So let's say if you want to reduce inflammation, the best way to figure out how to reduce the inflammation would be to figure out what is causing the inflammation and stop doing that instead of necessarily going and taking something unnatural in order to force your body into breaking down the inflammation. So as I started to research and started to understand more about my body and how things worked, I started to just explore the idea that I had really, really maybe been kind of barking up the wrong tree this whole time. And I started wondering as time went on and I started to detox these medications out of my body and I started to feel better, I started to wonder, had I made myself sick? And I don't want that to offend anybody's sensibilities, because I know that a lot of people don't necessarily believe this, don't believe that people can make themselves sick and things of that nature. But I really started to question it. I started to wonder, had everything I'd been through, all of the stress, all of the turmoil, all of the anguish, all of the pent-up emotions that I had, because my anxiety at this point is absolutely through the roof. Nothing is going right. Are you kidding me? I've been divorced now. Didn't see that coming. I was married to my high school sweetheart. Thought it was forever. Divorced. That hadn't been going well at all either. Like the aftermath of it, we weren't getting along. I'd found my wonderful husband and I had my daughter with him, and we had this beautiful family with these beautiful 4 children. But I'm still struggling. I'm still unhappy. And I had wondered if I had let all of those emotions eventually make me sick. And it was a harsh reality to think that I was the reason that I had been so sick all this time. But it also gave me hope. It gave me something to want to fight for again. It gave me a deep sense of purpose again. If I could have done all of this and made myself sick, and I'd already started to heal myself by detoxing from all of the crap I'd been putting in my body for over 2 years. 2 years of intense putting medications in my body. Before then, it had been off and on for years, guys, with, because I was in and out seeing the doctor all the time. There was always something going on. But if I had done that, then could that possibly mean that I could reverse it? And that right there was my aha moment. Wow. So that went by a little bit faster than what I thought it would. But, you know, next week, I guess we'll dive in a little bit further into the story and we'll just stop right there for now. So it left me wondering, what could I possibly do if I was able to direct this energy in a different way? So that's what we'll talk about next week. I've also reached out to one of my favorite people in the world to see if I can get her back on the show to discuss this more in depth. Because I really, really want to share this powerful knowledge with you guys because it is life altering. So anyway, so we'll be back next week. I will kind of finish up my story a little bit and then we're going to dive into it a little bit further and we're going to learn some more about self-healing and healing with the mind. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day.